Greetings and salutations, fellow book lovers and or booksellers. My name is David, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the first installment of what I'm going to call Adventures in Book Scouting. I am a book scout, and I am here in my office surrounded by my inventory of roughly 3,000 to 3,500 used books of varying vintages and categories and types. Um, First thing people usually ask me when I say that I sell books is, what kind of books do you sell? Or what kind of books do you look for? And my answer is anything that has value, that I can discern has value, anything that I can sell, which is a lot of different things. It can range from pulp paperbacks from the 50s and 60s to antique books from the 19th century or earlier to brand new books or contemporary books. Although I've been gravitating more towards the older books in recent years, as the competition for barcoded books, where people can scan them and find and ascertain an online value instantaneously, and their markets become more and more saturated with that stuff, and it's becoming harder to really make do with it. So I've used my knowledge that I gained from being working in bookstores all over the country, uh, from starting in 1997 to 2008, and then in 2009 I became a full-time online self-employed bookseller, which has been remarkably consistent for me year to year. It can be maddeningly inconsistent from week to week or month to month, but at the end of the year, it's always enough to make a legitimate living. And I feel very fortunate that I've been able to do it as long as I have, through a lot of changes in my life, and I intend to keep on doing it and enjoying it. And I'm hoping that you will enjoy this channel. I want it to be about the books. Somewhat, it'll be somewhat about the business also. I think that if you love books, I'm hoping that you would enjoy this. And if you enjoy selling books, I'm hoping that you would find enough content here to also keep coming back and enjoying what I have to share, because I feel like I have a lot to impart and to share. Stories of experiences I've had, and just also wanted to share things that I find when I'm out trying to get new stock, and um, places where my that I'm led to by my eternal quest for new material, which is it's quite abundant where I live in this part of the United States, northeastern mid-Atlantic United States. I live just north of Philadelphia, and opportunities for acquiring good books are manifold and unending, and it's all I can do to just keep myself from getting even further more than I can handle. Um, anyway, so for now, in the interest of keeping this, uh, there's no way I'm going to keep it short with all I have to say, but I can't let it run too long. So I want to start by sharing some sales I made in the last 24-hour period since I last visited the post office, just to give an example of the kind of things I deal in. Um, I sell um, online on. I don't have my own website per se, but I sell on Amazon. Probably 80% of the sales I make is through Amazon Marketplace, uh, Abe Books, Elibris, Biblio, and then in recent years I've also begun to sell on eBay, and the higher end stuff only, like $100 or more typically, and Etsy. And the first thing this was a sale I made on Etsy. The Wind in the Willows pop-up book. It's really a nice item, and not, you know, it's basically at the minimum price that I my threshold is about $10. Anything below that mark, it's not really going to be worth my while to try to list online. This was just a $10 sale, but it's really in great shape. Where are you going to go and find a pop-up book of The Wind of the Willows? And I thought, well, we probably got a good deal on this. And then this was an Amazon sale about a Saturn, a news reference for a rocket that was launched in the 1960s, as you see there. I don't know too much about it. The Saturn IB. It's a $20 book. I'm trying to focus on more of a less is more philosophy and only deal with higher end books. But in truth, there's still a lot of books that I have that are in the $25 range, and I'm happy to sell those as well. But I'll always striving to deal with higher end stuff. This was another sale. I've had this book for, I believe, 3 years, and it can take years for books. I don't give myself a lot of time to reprice, for better or worse. I'm always adding new stuff instead. The last time I repriced my inventory was 6 years ago. So, and a lot of things can get undercut, and that's how it goes. And maybe sometimes the things that undercut me sell, and then my stuff ends up being the lowest price, comes back around anyway after all that time. But the thing is, these things are, a lot of the books I deal in it have sort of like maybe low demand, but there's a lot of scarcity involved too. So waiting for the right person to come along and pay the right price for a book is sort of always been my MO, rather than just like look to flip at high volume for lower prices. So I don't do FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, where a lot of people just sort of look for high sales rankings to make a quick turnover. Maybe spend $1 and sell a book for $5, something like that. I'm sort of play the longer and for the longer haul, I guess. So this book, anyway, is called Of Rainbows and Clouds. It's about, I'm going to read from the back, a biography of Yab Ogoyan Dori, as best I can pronounce it, providing a fascinating and intimate glimpse of life and times in the remote eastern kingdom of Bhutan, remote eastern Himalayan kingdom of Bhutan during the 20th century. $40. Purchased this for, I'm sure, at least $1 or $2 at one point about 3 years ago. There's 2 sales that just came in on Biblio, literally in the last hour, which I'm pretty happy about. It's a 2-volume set here that I know where I got this at a library sale. A lot of the books I purchase are at Friends of the Library sales in the area. This one was from Springfield, Delaware County, Pennsylvania. And it is a biographical, it's not very exciting looking. It's a reference set. Biographical dictionary of the Maryland legislature from 1789. Sold for $60. Many people who are in the book selling or the online book selling business that I see at sales will totally ignore books like these. They don't have a barcode to scan. They don't have a dust jacket. And people apparently feel it's not worth their time to investigate any further than that. They can't get an instantaneous quantification on the value of a book. I find it's certainly well worth my while to investigate further in a lot of cases. And so this sold today. And then this book, this is an older children's book called The Children's Country. It's kind of delicate, so I don't want to try to open it and try to contort myself to try to show you, but it's got a nice cover. It's from, let's see, I'm going to say probably 100 years old. 1929, so almost. I got this at a collection of the woman who was my wife's doula when she gave birth to our son, and remained in touch through the years, and she wanted to sell me her family's books. Last year, I went to her house, and she had a lot of nice older books, and this was one of them. And today, this sold for $90 on Biblio. Kay Kay Birdkin is the author and illustrator's name. So it's kind of an interesting sampling of the kind of books that I look for and sell. Um, and I thought also I'd share today a recent experience I had. Um, I look on Facebook Marketplace usually 2 or 3 times a day for people selling books, their private collections, or even if it's local enough, even if it's just a few books, I might be interested depending on what it is. This was 2 weeks ago, um, and it was about a 45-minute drive, but the pictures I saw indicated that it might be worthwhile. It looked like kind of interesting things poking out of the tops of the boxes that they had, and said that they had, got it from a storage unit, and they just wanted to um, give it away for free. Um, and So I drove up, and all the books were just out on tables stacked up in the front yard of kind of a rural house. And it was a kind of a cold, damp day, and the books, the paperbacks, a lot of our paperbacks were stacked up on the tables, and the wind was blowing, and their covers were all just flapping in the wind like that. And the best thing about it, other than the fact that they were free and that they were actually more than I anticipated and a better overall quality, was that unlike a lot of times when people are selling a collection or an entire lot, they weren't interested in trying to have me just take the entire thing and do the hauling and do them a service of getting rid of their unwanted material. It was more a scenario where anyone who wanted to could just drive up and take what they want and then drive off. And that's what I did. I went through all the stuff and I took what I wanted, and it was a couple boxes worth. And thought I'd share some of the things I found that day, just entirely randomly. And there was definitely some stuff of value. I suspect that the person who had advertised the books was a seller of some kind, because it was a lot of older books. The barcode and stuff was all of little value, so it was probably another case of someone not wanting to put in the work of researching the older books and just leaving them behind for someone like me to pick the bones. And I think in a lot of cases it almost has to be the case where the stuff that is ignored, thrown to the side for not having a scannable barcode, is worth probably a good deal more of the stuff that is of more recent vintage that has the barcode. So I'll just share with you some of the things I found. I just held up these before. There were a lot of older mass market size paperbacks, and a lot of them I left there, maybe because the condition wasn't so great, or it was sort of common stuff. But there was a lot with interesting uncommon stuff. And you have to excuse my little inventory slips that are poking out the top of these. But this one, called Red Alert, it's got a great cover. And it all turned out, I had no idea, this book is the basis for Doctor Strange, the movie Doctor Strangelove. I had no idea about that till I went home and did the research. Listed for about, I believe, between $20 and $30, something like that. It's in great shape. Really interesting title here: a merciless novel of the TV business. Early on in the TV business's existence, it's kind of heartening to know that there was even then there were people to to skewer the TV industry. This is by an author named Alfred Bester, who is more typically known as a science fiction author, called Rat Race, and again in the $20 to $30 range. The key to the books like this and the condition of it is having a good spine, because these books were not made to last. They were cheaply made and sort of considered to be disposable. So if you get ones with good spines that makes them a much more collectible. And if, you know, it helps to also not have it. It's a little bit creased. I mean, for a book, this is from 1956, so considering it's not so bad. And then there were okay, there's this one too. There was so many different like action adventure series like this that came out in the 1970s. I had never seen this one before, called Kung Fu Master Richard Dragon, in which this is the first volume of this. I saw it and I thought, okay, if, that sort of clues me in. After all this time working with books, if I, you know, if I see something that I have not ever seen before, it's a good clue. I should pick it up because there's a good chance it's scarce and might have some value. And that would turn out to be the case with this. This is a $50 book, because there just aren't that many of them around, and because I mean, martial arts, kung fu is, some of those books can go for quite a bit. They're very desirable subjects, so there you go. And sure enough, I got home and it turned out this was much more pricier than I could have imagined. And there were a lot of adult themed smutty pulp paperbacks from, you know, vintage stuff that people, you know, can't get enough of this stuff. This one's a lesbian pulp, better yet. The Swingers, you know, this is stuff from the 50s and 60s. Sorry to turn around. I'm going to grab more stuff that I found just, again, randomly. This is Yard. Thank God for Facebook Marketplace. I found I've got an incredible amount of good leads from them. And since they became, I mean, it was Craigslist before them, and now it's Facebook Marketplace is the thing that I look at every day. In addition to looking at references like booksalefinder.com is where I find out about the library sales. Estatesales.net is where you find out about people having public sales at private homes, usually homes. And and Facebook Marketplace is another great, it's like a third essential reference for sourcing books. So there were more in the adult book vein that I wanted to highlight. I don't know where I put the pile. So well organized. You can only see the books in the back that are on the shelves. You can't see all the random piles of books in the underbrush of my office. Anyway, I guess that will suffice for now. Although some of the better ones are the ones I'm not showing you, I guess. What else did I find? This book, early from like the 1920s, it's called Zanesville and 36 Other American Communities. It's like an early marketing or demographic sort of book. It has kind of nice, a lot of data, you know, and illustrations like this. And I hope that I'm holding this up to the camera the right way. And the original dust jacket's from 1927. Just because a book is old certainly doesn't mean it's valuable, but in this case it does have some value because it was kind of a famous book for its time, long out of print. I can't remember exactly what I listed it for, not too much. I'm sure maybe 20, 30, again, $25 range. Happy to have it though, for free especially. This was a book that got, you know, was deemed valueless because it doesn't have a barcode. It's a Folio Society, which is a fine press. I've seen at book sales, people don't touch books that are leather bound like Easton Press and Franklin Library. It's amazing. These are books that have slip covers, or they originally come with slip covers, have illustrated covers, really nice cloth bindings, and they're usually, you know, reprints of classic material. In this case, Folio does a lot of nonfiction. This is the Spanish Inquisition, and I'm not sure if there are some color illustrated plates in there. Again, probably $20-$30 range. Typically, I would be, you know, showing you like stuff that's a little bit on the higher end, but I wanted to highlight this particular excursion that I made, just because, I don't know, it was fun, and it's fun to find things just the randomness of it is something that just keeps me going. You just never know what you're going to find out there. Um, you know, and it's also good to know that something that you weren't sure about, you made the leap and then it worked out, and that actually ended up a little better than you might have thought. This was probably one of the more expensive books in there. This was a $50 book, a biography of Grenville M. Dodge, Civil War soldier, and became a railroad pioneer. I'm not sure. I haven't read the book, so I can't tell you exactly in what way he was a pioneer, but it's a really nice condition. It has a dust jacket. It's supposed to be, the spine's supposed to be as red as the rest of it. Other than that, it doesn't really have many flaws, so nice, long out of print book. People, the Civil War and Railroad are two very desirable subjects that people will pay money for in books. So things to look out for, and I will give additional pointers as to what subjects I look for, things that traditionally sell pretty well, and things that maybe tend to stagnate as well in subsequent installments of the program. The pop-up Kama Sutra book. It's not really all that exciting, but it's really cool. I mean, I've never seen it before. Not super valuable. Again, a lot of these books ended up being in the $20 to $30 range, including this one. This is from 1984. So, a book doesn't have to be super old or to be interesting or valuable. I mean, this was probably just had one print run, and that was it. Let's see. Oh, and then I found, this probably has no particular monetary value, and I'm not intending to sell it anyway, but it's a scrapbook. Somebody's, it was just out, it was mixed in with the boxes, and it's got a lot of memorabilia from somebody who attended St. Joseph's Prep, which is it's a high school, a prep school in Philadelphia, and this is all from the 1930s. It's honor roll commemorations and various interesting. The pages are really, really good quality too, for what that's worth. But anyway, it was just, I love finding random things from random people's lives, just these fragments that get, for whatever reason, to become available, just for the taking. So, all right. So, I mean, there were other things from that day, but I'll leave it there. And in the interest of not running on too long, I will sign off from here, and I hope that you enjoyed watching, and hope you will be enticed to come back and watch more as I'll hope to make these semi-regular features. This is a busy time of year as far as people selling books, libraries having sales. Spring is always pretty busy. There's a lot going on, so there's a lot of definitely opportunity for me to come back and report what finds I've made. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I have to do the obligatory. Remember, hit the like and subscribe buttons if you feel like, and I will look forward to bringing this to you again in the near future.